Hello, everyone, and welcome home to our Sisterhood of the Moon channel. I am so happy to be here with you, sharing the oracle for our Lammas High Holyday season for this year, the year 2025. Yes, it is already time to talk about Lammas, to begin our preparations for that slow descent through the harvest season, which begins now and takes us all the way through Samhain tide. And yes, I will admit that it sometimes feels very strange to be talking about the harvest right now when the light is still so bright and the days are still so hot. But when we pay careful attention, we notice that the nights are already lengthening. And before we know it, the fullness of the darkness will be here with us yet again. Yes, that wheel just keeps on turning. In the northern hemisphere, we are now at the midway point between the summer solstice and the autumnal equinox. And through the tides of this first harvest, we center the celebration of the fresh fruits that are ready to be picked and eaten, and the grains that are still ripening into their goldenness and will be ready to harvest later. And so this is a natural time for us to feel the call to survey the lands of our lives, to see what is working, to see what is not working, to see what needs to be nourished and what needs to be pruned and or composted. And that brings us to the card that has presented itself for us for this time of year, and that is the Emperor. The Emperor. Of course, this is from the Morgan Greer Tarot, and if you've been hanging out with me for a while, you know that I just love the art in this deck. This card has appeared for us before 3 times at Fall Equinox 2021, again at Fall Equinox 2023, and yet again at the Winter Solstice of 2023. And so I invite you, as always, to check in with yourself about what is happening in your life now and what was happening in your life during those times. Perhaps even digging out your old journals to discover what the connections are between then and now. Okay, so the Emperor. I have grown to really cherish this card over the years. I used to hate this card. It was one of my least favorite cards in the whole deck because at first glance, it can really feel like it's infused with patriarchal and power over type energies. But when I learned to reframe the archetype of the Emperor as a benevolent, selfless protector, I could then find those qualities within myself too. So if you're like me and you've had difficulty vibing with this card, perhaps you could try approaching it from this perspective and see how that feels for you. Healthy Emperor energy. It's the energy that plans, energy that sustains and oversees, provides, and even protects. I really appreciate this card showing up for us now because our harvest, both physical, like the ones in our gardens, and metaphorical, our dreams, our desires, our goals, are just now beginning to manifest. And perhaps they're even just now becoming to move into form. The Emperor can help to safeguard these harvests as they grow into their maturity, especially during those times when protection is most needed. And protection is often most needed when things are unsettled, unseasoned, untried, perhaps even formless, defenseless, in need of containment, nurturing, safety, security, and even guidance. The Emperor embodies the careful management and order needed to plan, grow, and reap the fruits of our labors. That which is rooted in commitment, in dedication, in devotion, perseverance, and in service. The Emperor is practical and disciplined, qualities that are very, very important for manifestation and completion. So let us look to the powers of the Emperor to provide these needful things to us, to help to ward and protect our growing fruits, that they may reach their full potential, and that we may take in our fullest yield as the greater harvest season unfolds before us. Let us allow ourselves to be held and supported both by the energies of this gorgeous season of the Wheel of the Year and by the foundational powers of beneficial structure, of ethical tradition, and of proper sovereignty, because we are moving into sovereignty season as well. All right, my loves. Happy Lammastide to one and all. May your first harvest be successful and abundant and joyful. And please, please, please help us out by subscribing to our channel if you haven't already done so. This simple action is a huge support for us. I hope to see you here again. I will return to you around fall equinox. And until then, I thank you from my heart.